Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop, and you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. As you know, JP Jr. used to be introduced as the sexiest man in bowling, and now the world. But he doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation. So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Dr Ocho. Dr Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois. You're damn right I do. But I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm kind of cranky. That being said, let's introduce our first co-host. He is the man with the golden mask. He has the largest arms on this podcast. He is the resident doctor of Straight Up 5, the one and only Dr. Ocho. Good evening, sir.
Cramping up, boys, cramping up. And we have company, as my daughter is just learning what pan is.
Oh, so okay.
Now spinning, but what you guys can do is focus on this and ignore the rolling pan can that's going down the kitchen.
You know, we spent thousands of dollars on toys for my daughter.
The cap of the pan is better than any freaking toy ever. The box that the toy comes in is 1,000 times better than any freaking toy you could ever get.
Dude, a freaking paper towel roll. She's good. She's good for 3 hours. It's ridiculous. Also joining us is the third member of the team. He is the man with the name of the marquee. He is number 7 in your program, number 1 in your hearts, the sexiest man in the world, Johnny Petraglia Jr. I see his hand. Oh, there he is. Good evening, JP.
I don't have kids, but I'm watching her with the pan. It's the greatest thing ever. Oh,
right?
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Good to see you guys. How are we doing tonight?
Doing well. Excited to have our guest who's still on her cruise, but she made it. She's here. She's in the green room waiting to come in.
Hang on. WPBA Star Elise. Can we talk about that real quick? I feel like we skipped over it. Go on.
No, I was just singing. Well, I'd say bring her in and tell her how wonderful, that's amazing, and how important that is.
Can we talk about how important we are?
Okay.
Who goes on a cruise and comes to Straight Up 5?
I mean,
let's just start there. I think that's pretty good. How about you?
It's good self-promotion. And then we do the actual promotion.
Spinning out of control.
Welcome, said guest. Yes. Well, she's not going to know what that means.
Let's not wait any longer. No, you are right, Johnny. We are big time, but she is as well. But before we bring her in, it's customary here in Straight Up 5 to introduce our guest the proper way with a highlight package.
Excellent.
Oh, that's got a hook. Oh, that's got a hook. Oh my goodness. Open in the 10th, and on the bench, Elise Bolton is a 2-time main event champion. Oh my goodness. What a heartbreak for Stephanie. She bowled so darn well all weekend long.
So Liz Bolton says, let's just go out in style. Why not? Kind of what you expected. And now, Bill Straub will make a substitution for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. National title number 4. To the victor go the spoils.
My phone, it's funny because my phone died right before the show started, so like I turned my phone and it was going off. But what really sets in is like you don't practice anymore, so that's when you know like the season's over and you won. So it's like it was good, you know. We were all really happy. Yeah, great.
Strike. Oh. Alright. Insult to injury. One was standing. Same result as 2. 7-10 and Elise Bolton. Seeing the winner here today. My goodness. Valerie will take the one. 2:21 finish for her.
Please welcome Elise Bolton. Good evening, Elise.
Hello. Hi. I see you guys did some digging.
It only took 8 minutes to get you here, but I hope you enjoyed the little package we put there together. But thank you for joining us.
Cruise, by the way, so I hope you appreciate us showing up.
Yeah, no. Thank you guys for coming to my cruise.
You're welcome.
Rob.
Yes, sir.
Nice work.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that was awesome. Wow, I actually appreciate seeing all that stuff.
What was on the midnight buffet last night? Because I had pizza all the time whenever I was on a cruise.
Sorry?
What was on the midnight buffet last night? Because I had pizza every night I was on a cruise and Reuben sandwiches.
Last night was Mexican night. I ate at the main dining. I don't even remember what I had, actually, to be honest.
Oh.
I've been trying to stick to salads and stuff and keep it simple so I don't get
You're on a cruise. Don't worry about it. It'll come right off. It's going to be the best days of your life. Cruises are the best.
Yes. Yeah, it's been fun. Tonight's a little rough, so I'm kind of glad I kept it light on the food because tonight's pretty bad.
I'm surprised the boat Wi-Fi works as well. I took Carnival this year, and their Wi-Fi sucked. I know you're on.
Well, you said the keyword Carnival. That was your problem.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's good to have you here. We've been following you on social media. Obviously, you have a big presence there, plus your YouTube page with your fiance, actually your husband now.
Yeah, we snuck away and got married.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Everybody, I know we didn't want to bring this up, but being a woman bowler is tough because you have so many idiots and so many jackasses that just troll your page or leave ridiculous comments. We don't know how you put up with it. I don't know how you put up with it, but what do you do to kind of block all that crap out?
Honestly, I don't really have to block it out. It doesn't bother me at all. I always kind of said like any type of publicity is like good publicity. It's really how you interpret it. And it's all about like what I do behind closed doors and how I know I treat people. So I don't really care what other people say.
That's good. That's a great attitude.
It's like being on a podcast with a guy with a mask on.
So she totally fits on
Yeah, you should have told me I could have worn a mask.
Well, this is, if you know Straight Up 5, but that's okay. The next time you come on, you put whatever you want on, you're good to go.
Okay,
Elise,
perfect.
Elise, I I'm going to follow up Rob's question with one of my own. Why'd you start this sport?
Why did I start bowling?
And how?
Okay, so my dad, I played a lot of sports, but growing up in Florida, I realized I didn't really like doing a lot of sports outside because he like really affected me no matter like how much I drank and stuff, water. My dad always bowled with my mom, and finally my dad was like, why don't we bowl in adult youth league? And so he kind of took me, and I got very blessed that the proprietor, Sandy Finkelstein, kind of took a liking to me and was like, hey, your daughter could be pretty good. And Kim Adler happened to be coaching in that center, and they kind of took me under their wing, and I kind of did.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I obviously had a good coach, and it was right when the tour folded, and that was kind of it. I just realized I was kind of good, and awesome. I just started bowling every day and getting coaching by her and Sandy, and obviously I had Kegel at my disposal and Tom Blasco. I just had a lot of coaches that, you know, my parents put me in front of, and, you know, with me just wanting to practice, and I loved it, and it all just kind of fell into place.
That's kind of funny. Through 6 degrees of separation, I knew Kim Adler as a kid when she was Kim Couture.
Yeah.
And Pete was the resident pro at Bradley Bowl in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, where I grew up. So that's kind of cool that you got her later on in her life. But she's a really cool person. Very, very good bowler, obviously.
Yeah.
You just taught me something, dude. I had no idea that was Kim Adler's name prior.
Yes. Correct.
I just remember from like the time I was 8 or 9 years old and just killing them. Just the like fiercest competitor ever, at least to me, on the ladies' tour. And just badass. Just always knew how to throw it, when to throw it. Kind of like Mike Albee. And you just taught me something about her. So thank you.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to teach everybody. You know, you were a standout at Nebraska. And you had, you know, there's some fantastic teams at Nebraska for sure. What can you say about your experience there with the women that you bowled with?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I tell this to a lot of people. I don't think that year we necessarily had the most talent as far as like people that had all these accolades and people that threw it really well. We all threw it well, but not as well as some of the other teams. But we put in a lot of hard work, and we worked really hard on team chemistry. And you would never know we had problems as a team, like as every college team does. You know, we're girls. We're in college. We fight about stupid stuff. So you would just never know because we were able to put it all aside because we had one common goal, and that was we wanted to win. And it didn't matter what it took. At the end of the year, we wanted to hold the Brown Trophy, and that's what we did.
Did you have someone that would like kind of be the ringleader then and like wrangle everybody in and be like, all right, come on, we don't need to be talking about this. Let's hone in on what the goal is, or would it all just kind of like cooler heads would prevail?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been the seniors just because, you know, they hadn't won since 2009 when I went into the team. So it had been a while since Nebraska had won. So it was a big goal in that year that they didn't want to leave the seniors and stuff without, you know, having another title. So I just think it was like, hey, this isn't what Nebraska does. We need to get a win. Like, there's no reason why we're not on TV and winning again. So I think that it was just the seniors and wanting to have that moment for them before they graduated.
It's a mature way too. I mean, the seniors are what, 21 years old, maybe 20, 21 at the most, I think. So, yeah, I mean, that's taking a lot of maturity again in a sport that most are not, I don't want to say relatively new because they're obviously good, but like this is their first time that they're really in the limelight. So that takes a good chunk of maturity to kind of wrangle that in. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So, no, it was good. We had really great team chemistry. So I would say, honestly, although it was for the seniors, we all did a really good job of policing ourselves. Because, again, like I will say, like I've never been with a group of people who, no matter what happened, we all were just like, this is our goal. And there's nothing that's going to stand in our way from achieving that. That season, honestly, it's like everything just felt like it fell into place. Like we won. I think our lowest finish was like maybe third or fourth the whole season. We won like so many tournaments. It was crazy. It just felt like it was like done before we started the season.
Elise, your mentality speaks team sports. Do you play any other sports?
I did.
In other words, like I'm a baseball player, so like what you're talking about in the team atmosphere relates to like, yo, dude, it's bottom of the 7th or 9th. depending on how old we are. Yeah, we need just a couple singles here and there. Like, what other sports is my question.
Yeah, I actually played basketball in high school, and I really enjoyed it. Again, an indoor sport that I could play, and I was pretty good at it. But I had to quit for bowling because bowling did obviously take precedence for me. So, and my dad played at University of Miami for football and baseball. So I was brought up with kind of that mentality of, you get what you put in. Yeah. So it was obviously a big part with my dad being so heavily involved in sports that I just kind of knew from a young age, what it took and what you needed to do to be a team player and an individual in the same, role, I guess.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Do you find it easier? No, I don't want to say easier because there's no easy way, but like, you'd rather have you throwing the last shot, or would you rather rely on a teammate? Loaded question, because again, the scenarios play differently. Because bowling is clearly an individual sport. It's like wrestling. Wrestling, we do have teams, but we also have weight classes that each guy has to do their job, and you're not getting any help from another person.
It's you against the guy in the ring. Your team's right there. Same way, it's like you and the 10 pins, right?
Basically, right, but there's still a dependency on them. So did you find a comfort with going out as singles, or was there still like something that just juiced you a little more when you were on a team event?
So my whole time when I was at Nebraska, I was always the 1-6, and that was because I was like the person that I was very consistent. Like everyone knew, like it didn't matter what I did, I was gonna smile.
You set the table.
You always marked.
Yeah, I was able to. I was always gonna be able to get a mark.
Split.
Yeah, and even if I did split, I was never like upset. Like I'm just still like that. So I think
it's Elise, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Everybody that doesn't know what that means, 1-6 is frames 1 and 6 in the Baker style format. So usually you load the top of your lineup with somebody like an Elise, somebody who gathers the troops, stays in control, like a Walter Ray Williams Jr. or like a Shannon Pluhowski.
Yeah.
Is that cool enough?
Yeah.
Just in case anybody didn't understand what 1-6 meant. So Elise is in the top hole. So go.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll be honest, I think my job was just as important as the anchor, because my job was to make sure it didn't come down to the anchor, obviously, because I had to make sure that, if we got into the 3, 4, 5, and there was a hole, that I could come back and like pick us up, so that way we could get the job done before it got to the anchor. So I think, to be honest, like the anchor isn't always the most important, because it shouldn't always fall on their shoulders. It should become the people before that to make sure they don't have to, it's just like when you're bowling an individual game. You don't want to wait to have to strike out in the 9th and 10th. You want to be just
close it out in the 7th. Why not?
Yeah, like we got to celebrate.
Up by 50.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, like I don't really feel pressure. I think pressure is just really perceived of like what you put on yourself. So I don't think it really matters where you're at. It's just like if you practice hard enough and like you've done it like in your head enough, that there's not really any pressure what spot you're in. As long as you're prepared and you've went through that scenario, I think that it doesn't really matter.
You enjoyed some success on Junior Team USA as well. You spent 4 years, I believe, on there or so. Tell us a little bit about 5. Tell us a little bit of your experience, because that's an awesome thing to have to be able to do as a bowler, to represent your country, and bowl some really, really good talent as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did make team at a very young age, before junior gold was kind of like how it is now, where it's split up. So I was like on team when I was the youngest, and like we had like 23-year-olds. Like Matt O'Grady was like on the same team as me, So like it was a little bit different back then. So I feel like I matured a lot quicker because I had a lot of like role models that were like way older than me on these teams. But I obviously always enjoyed like going to other countries, so that was my first opportunities to like go to Puerto Rico and go to all these places that I would have never probably went at that age. So I mean, and then being able to be in a team environment and compete for your country is always a blessing. So yeah.
Was the tour just a natural evolution in your journey as a bowler?
No, actually, I just always told my parents that I was going to go to college and pay for college however I could. So bowling obviously was that avenue, but the tour was still folded when I was in college. So when I was 15, actually, I finished, I think it was like 24th at the US Open and like top 20 at Queens. And that's all we had to bowl back then. So like growing up, I just bowled the 2 like majors. We didn't have a tour. So it was using bowling or whatever I could, but bowling became that avenue to just get through college and then use my degree or whatever to go forward. And I would have still bowled like here and there, but the tour actually started right when I was done with school. So I got very lucky. I was like that first class that I was able to come out and have an opportunity to bowl. And had the tour not started when it did, I probably, like if it had been a year later, I don't know if I would have even tried because I would have probably already been settled in whatever I was doing after school and stuff.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I mean, that's, for most college bowlers, especially the good bowlers, that typically would be the next step in their journey. But, at least you had backup plans. See, a lot of people, Johnny, this kind of equates to, wrestling, which not the fake stuff that Ocho does, but actual pro wrestling, where that's all they know for most of their lives. And they don't know what to do in the real world. A lot of them didn't graduate college. A lot of them never had a backup plan. But the smart ones that would save their money and actually got a college degree would be able to do work once their body broke down. They had nothing else to do. So it's smart of people like Elise to make sure she got her degree. That way, if the bowling thing didn't work out, then at least she has, her education to rely on, or just go into the working class.
Yeah, I didn't really have an option.
I was just going to say, or vice versa. Who knows? In 15 years, maybe bowlers will be millionaires, just like baseball or football players, and somebody that trains their brain and body together will be ready for it when it happens.
She do the Troy Lint method there, where she just joins the senior tour and just starts beating the hell out of everybody.
Troy made a decision, and now he's on Team USA, right? Like,
yeah.
And in the chat, by the way, let's just remember that.
Is he here?
Of course, Troy's in the chat.
I definitely saw Chuck Gardner.
Troy's always here.
I haven't him yet, but
Chuck Ritchie's here as well.
I'm here too. I'm sorry, so pardon that.
No, it's badass to, as I get older, more people that are younger than me are into the sport. I'm going to bring up Nate right now. Nate is committed to the game and committed way faster than I was. I was more committed to the booze and the shit that surrounded the sport. Now that I'm old and decrepit, I'm still working out and shit, but with all due respect, imagine if I had the brain of the youth of today. It's crazy. It's amazing how strong the brains are now. And when the brain knows what to do, the body will always follow, right? We talk about that shit all the time. And I think that what Elise does, what Nate does, what the kids do, and I'm calling them kids because I'm going to be 40 next year. What they do for the sport nowadays, you get where I'm going.
I just making fun of your age. That's all. I'm ageless and timeless.
Loser. Anyway, continue, Rob. Sorry to totally interrupt that.
No, it's fine. But can we talk about how awesome Nate Garcia is? That's fine. We're all big fans of.
I actually go to sleep dreaming that I threw it like him.
Yeah,
That makes any sense?
Yeah, I will say a lot of my success that I have had since college, a lot of people don't know. I'm kind of private about it, but I have talked about it more here and there when I get those trolls that talk about how you used to be good and stuff. But a lot of people don't know I have been fighting injuries since 2016, just little stuff here and there. But I was very lucky that when I did meet Nate, I almost was about to quit bowling because I was just really sick of fighting with the injuries. And I'm the type of person when I'm doing something, I'm 110% committed. I'm not going to go bowl a tournament unless I've been able to practice and I'm prepared. So meeting Nate at the time that I did really helped me because he's very like that, where he's very this is my goals and I don't care what I have to do to get to those goals. So having him when we met in 2015 really kind of brought that spark back to me because I did get injured right out of college. Don't even remember what my first injury was, but it was good to have Nate and someone who was very passionate, and he does everything the right way. He doesn't cut corners. So yeah, it's been nice.
When Troy Lint says, I love watching Nate, you know you're onto something. I think you outkicked your coverage there, Elise. I'm just saying.
Yeah. He throws it okay.
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, when I mentioned you were coming on, Johnny's like, "Oh man, yeah, it's like Elise is really cool. I like what she's done. You know, he follows you on social media." And obviously, he mentioned Nate and how big of a fan he is. So I think Nate and Johnny might have a little man crush on each other. That's just something.
Romances are just fine. Elise,
go ahead, Johnny.
This is a quick question, and then I'll send it back to you. Elise, your favorite bowling ball of all time? What is it?
Oh my gosh.
But do a top three then, because that's pretty hard to do. Do a top three.
I always ask all legends on this show what their favorite ball is. So, like, for instance, Pete Weber's the purple angle. Took him like an hour to figure that out. We'll give you as long as you want. We need at least your top three.
This is pretty easy for me. Obviously, I threw Ebonite and Brunswick a lot growing up, so I have to go with obviously my oldies. Obviously, I love my Rotogrip and Storm now, but growing up, my Resurgence and my 505T, like those were like obviously the cores I was used, like the Vow and all those like.
Sorry, what did you say after the Resurgence?
The 505T.
Oh, the track ball. Okay.
And then like the Vow. So anything like in that Resurgence line, like I loved. Yeah. And then obviously like now, like my Emerald is like my favorite. Those would be like my top three that, you know, the other ones were like growing up. Like I threw, anytime I got a Resurgence, I like drilled it, like even when they were like discontinued, I was always trying to find them. But then now it's like the same with the Emerald. I'm like, I always throw that ball. So those are all pretty tied. Like I couldn't pick
I'm going to feed off your entire response right now. Number one, just because you mentioned Storm, Bill Chrisman, love you, and Barbara Chrisman, thank you sincerely for your donation to the BVL on Veterans Day. So we are all Storm Nation, even though I'm a Brunswick guy. Yeah. And secondly, to add to your list of balls, I love the Resurgence. I wasn't allowed to throw it because that was before Brunswick and, you know, the 7 brands were together. But my favorite ball of all time, speaking of Storm, is the Blue Thunder. And if you ever talk to anybody about the Blue Thunder story, I'm not going to bring it out tonight or steal the limelight, but yeah. So my favorite ball of all time, being Johnny Petraglia Jr., is a Storm ball.
Edit that part out. We got to get to the department, get to the edit department. We're going to, from minute 28.42, we're going to have to cancel that just for about 14 seconds and splice it. Splice it. So here, we'll do this. Ready? We'll do this and then splice it back.
Yep, I can do that.
Like in this spot. Okay. And then we'll continue and about Brunswick or something like that.
Hopefully Brunswick staffers aren't watching this. But
and then we got it. We got
Rob and Elise, back to you.
We all had lives before, you know.
That is absolutely right. And I was always a Brunswick guy growing up, but I mean, I like to throw just about anything I can get my hands on. Johnny gives me crap because I have like the oldest arsenal in the world. That I haven't updated. I still have an original.
You don't even bowl anymore besides on freaking Wii or the damn computer. So I mean, that's a little different too.
I still have an original Rhino Teal Rhino Pro, which they re-released this year, and also have a Forest Green Quantum, which they also re-released recently. And Johnny's favorite ball, the Swamp Monster.
The other one. Yeah, he's got another one, right? What's the other one you got, Rob?
The Swamp Monster. Johnny loves that ball. Yeah. I think it's time I get some new equipment. But,
I've never even heard of that one. So
that's so bad.
It's very bad. Yeah, it's a proactive resin. It's not good. Yeah. You'd see.
Even my daughter just laughed at the Swamp Monster. She's like, "There's no way that guy would want to."
All right, Rob. Back to your questions for our honored guest tonight. What do you got next?
What are you looking forward to coming up, Elise? Are you going to try to go full time on the tour? What are your aspirations at this point in your career?
Yeah, so I don't say this to a lot of people, but as long as I'm bowling, I'm only bowling when I feel like I can compete at the highest level. And when I feel like I can't compete at the highest level, I will no longer be bowling. And that's just because, again, it comes with my passion. I'll be involved in the sport, but for myself bowling, my goal is to obviously be on tour and win at the highest level. And I'm looking forward to not being hurt while bowling. Like I said, I've still been dealing with some injuries, and I actually went to my orthopedic right before we got on the cruise, and I do have a tear and a couple discs, so I'm finally kind of figured out what's going on, but obviously that's not an easy thing to navigate. I hate using it as an excuse, but I'll be honest, I'm sure some people that have done it, it's really hard. Like when you're competing against the best in the world and you can hit your mark, but then you're like, you can't use your legs because then your legs are getting tired. And it's like, then you just start doing stupid stuff. So, I mean, that's really my goal, is to be able to go out there and, be in the top, 20 every week and, be competitive and without being in pain. So that's what I'm looking for.
Is your pain consistent? Like it's always on the same side? Is it always going down the same? Because you're talking about discs, so you're talking about potential sciatic pain goes to the butt cheek, down to the hamstring, down to the calf. Sometimes an electric shock down to the leg, obviously.
Yeah.
Are you able to reproduce it, or do you have to almost guard against these issues happening via core strengthening, physical therapy? And again, it's an asymmetrical sport. If you threw 2 bowling balls, you'd be fine. Maybe that's fine because you still got to off step, but you're throwing 1 ball tilted and your whole body rotates and the torque that you're throwing. So is everything consistently on one side that you're talking about, or is it starting to travel a little bit now that you're probably compensating?
Yeah. So when I originally did, when I hurt it the worst, I literally couldn't even bowl for almost 8 months. It was so bad. I could barely travel in a car. It was actually funny, but Nate would have to put a line in the back of it was on our Tesla, so not as much room, but I would literally just be it would be me and then all the bowling balls stacked so I could lay down for the 8-hour travels, and then he'd
put your feet up on them. Probably you got your knees bent, your legs up, and if the only
I couldn't even do that. I couldn't sit. Yeah.
Wow.
I had to lay flat or whatever, but it was funny because Nate would pop the trunk and I'm just laid back there. It was
I would have thought you were being kidnapped or something like that. You're looking at cops and get called.
Yeah, it was really bad. But so that was for the first 8 months. And then it started to get a little bit better, where I could at least sit and stand and I couldn't even do laundry. I couldn't do simple tasks for the longest time.
Did you get epidurals or anything? Did you get a couple epidurals? Did they try any type of therapy? Because that's a long time.
Yeah, I was on steroids. I couldn't even do therapy. I literally couldn't even do laundry. I could not
tolerate it because the pain was still extreme.
Yeah. So that was just trying to get out of bed every day. And so luckily at the time I had some friends that were living with me. So they helped me so Nate could still go out and bowl and, get stuff done and, in his normal everyday life. So it didn't have to stop. But so after I got through that, obviously all I wanted to do was get back on the lanes because at the time we were still coaching at college. So I was obviously every day there, trying to coach. And when I still had to get out of bed every day and try to go to practice. So obviously that hurt watching them practice because that's all I wanted to do. So I did do, after 8 months, I was able to start doing some therapy and I did everything you could think of, cryotherapy, acupuncture, everything I could do to try to get better. And after a year or so, I really started to get to a point where I could at least go with maybe a level 3 pain. It's never gone away completely, but I've learned to it's once you live with pain, you don't really
know how to deal with it. But you got to learn how to throw the ball again now too, because there's a whole different meaning when something's going to grab you at a moment's notice, whether at a level 3, but it could go up to a level 7 just if you stick or if you slide a little too much or if you don't let the ball go early. You know what I mean? Being guarded and having that almost like stepping in water in the restroom and you did it, but you're planning on you might stick, and that's always in the back of your mind too. So you almost have to learn how to rethrow the ball in a way, because now you have to do it where maybe you came through it. Now you gotta kind of just let it roll a little bit.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing when I came back. I'm such a feel bowler that coming back, I had to learn how to it felt so mechanical. And I had to, obviously my thumb and my fingers were so much smaller. And I had to get refit 4 times, which I'd pretty much had the same fit for ever before that. And I've never really had issues with any of that. So that was the hardest part coming back, was feeling I could get it off my hand. And then even now to this day, it's been 2 years and my ball is still further away from my ankle because I started, he said, babying it, and I'm trying not to hurt my back more. So I just have so many more inconsistencies that I never even things I ever had to work on that are now a problem, which isn't as fun now that you know, bowling for so long, because my body's like, oh, we've never had these problems before. So having to like navigate that and figure out how to fix problems I've never had now at like 30 is much harder, obviously, than when I was 15 and could just be like, oh, okay, I can do that. And I can tell I'm still guarded, like when I'm doing stuff. So I
even
don't
still, wow.
I feel like
yeah, no, that's the main. So Johnny read his back like 2 weeks ago.
I get mad at Dad for like
not knee bending. He's 75.
I can't fucking throw a turkey. I mean, like,
yeah. So like last year at the US Open, I was doing well and I had to quit the third day because it was kind of like it was shooting down to my knee because the approaches were a little bit tackier. So I was like bowling okay, but I literally couldn't get any ball speed. So I was like getting annoyed because one, I was in pain and I knew I was like bowling bad because I just couldn't, the pattern needed more ball speed and I was getting forced too far left and I was just like splitting. And so it wasn't just because of how I was bowling, but I was in so much pain. I was like, I'm the person, like, I never want to quit, but I was like, there's no point in putting myself through this. And then this year the pain kind of traveled down to my foot and I haven't really been able to walk on my foot for the last like 8 months. And so that's why I didn't bowl much tour this year, was because I was just dealing with wherever the pain is traveling. So that's the fun part about backs, is that you never know where the pain's going.
Pretty solid now? Like,
no.
Are you almost there?
No, I'm still, it's one of those things, once you hurt your back, it's not something, it's like ripping a piece of paper and like taping it back. Like it'll, you know, it heals, but it never heals.
Well, it's like if you straighten a paper clip, you can't get the paper clip back the way it was. Can you calf raise or can you lift your toes up and calf raise, things like that? Or you even,
by the way, Elise, this is my doctor. So like, I swear to God, aside from the Ocho mask,
yeah.
He actually,
I don't know if I could take him serious if I watch.
I feel like I'm listening to him as well because my L5S1 is compressed 11 millimeters. So go ahead, doctor.
So
I can do that. I obviously, what's hard for me is I'm like, I don't sit still. Like I don't watch TV much. Like if I'm watching TV, it's because I'm like that bored, or I've already practiced or done everything I can for the day. But I think the hardest thing for me was like knowing that I kind of had to pick between practicing and like working out, which obviously doesn't help getting the injury better, but I can't do both. So I have to be very careful of how I navigate that. And obviously with all the issues I've had bowling, I obviously want to get on the lanes and bowl as much as I can, but I just can't do that. Like I used to walk into Kegel and bowl 5 hours straight, like without stopping. And I just can't do that anymore. I have to be so careful. So bowling these 8-game blocks on tour, I really like what I do as soon as I get off the lanes until that next morning is so crucial. So that way I can even bowl the next day.
So what I got to do the therapy each day, like, between the hot, cold packs or even a bathtub, even just, again, resting with your legs up. But every practice throw is almost like adding. I'm going to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I'm not trying to. I'm trying to give people the picture of like what you're dealing with. And even to go practice, like you said, an 8-game block is already hard to do. In order to get to the 8-game block, you have to practice 20 games a day for a week, a month straight. You know what I mean? So like in order to get yourself in bowling shape, to get the accessory muscles prepared, you have to do that. And it's hard to do that when the injuries are already compromising what you can do. So that's just to get there. So I'm trying to, again, painting the picture for the people about it's not just, I'm injured. Well, just suck it up. No, there's a way more than that, you know. And I'd love to suck it up. You'd love to suck it up.
Yeah.
By the laws of the limitations of matter, your body isn't allowing it. But hopefully you'll get, and you're still young. You're still a young, vibrant woman.
Yeah.
We all can't be like Terminator pin killing guys like Troy Linton who just guts out a knee injury all freaking year and wins Player of the Year. I mean, not everybody can do that.
What if you're breaking both of his elbows and then he was bowling like 6 weeks later? I was like, must be nice. Like, like I wish.
That's hard to do.
Yeah. So I feel that.
What have your doctors told you? Like, what are they telling you? Is it just, can it be rehabbed? Is there going to be future surgery? Like, what do they give you? What kind of prognosis are they giving you?
So that's kind of the sad part is I feel like people probably think I'm dragging it on, but I've honestly went to like so many doctors over the last 2 years. And honestly, the first couple were like, you're just going to have to quit bowling. And I was like, okay, well, that's like telling me, like telling me I can't stand for long hours.
Right.
And I'm like, both parts of my job, whether it's coaching or bowling, require that. So you're basically telling me not to do what I've, been doing my whole life and what my career path is. So that's kind of all they've really told me in the beginning. And until recently, it took me like in the 3 years, I've only had 2 MRIs and I had to fight to even get those.
Wow.
So I've learned like having a back injury isn't fun, mostly because like they think because you're so young, they're like, oh, just strengthen your core. But it's like, well, if I can't touch my toes and I can't pick up my legs, like how am I gonna make that happen? So that's been the hardest part is like I kind of had to find my own ways to like figure out how I can alleviate the pain and kind of do it myself. And this last doctor I went to, obviously they suggested doing a shot. I have to look at what kind it is. Like I said, I did it like the day before I came on the cruise, but they think it's just a lot of inflammation, but at the same time, I like to try to do everything naturally. But if I can't get the inflammation to go down to be able to work it back up, it's kind of one of those things. You kind of have to do whatever you can do to figure it out on your own almost.
Right. Yeah, no, that's rough. I mean, hopefully it does get better for you because, I mean, you have so much talent and a healthy Elise Bolton can crush it.
I appreciate that. I really do.
And I'm sure I'm like, Troy was very humble when he had him on the show and we talked about how great he was and blowed smoke up his ass and all that. But, he still knows deep down inside, like if, he's on, like when he's on and he knows he walks in the bowling alley, he's going to kill it. Do you ever have feelings like that?
Which, by the way, talk about walking into a miracle. Changes his life. Purple Hammer, Bangarang, Player of the Year, Team USA, CUDA, from in here, yada, yada, yada. Now he gets to throw a 78 hardness reactive that just happens to be blue. Let's fucking go, Troy Lynn.
Yeah, seriously, no, that's absolutely right. But I mean,
like sucking his, anyway.
When you're on your game, at least,
we got kids here.
Do you have that same mentality? Like, like they're fucked. Like, you're going to crush it.
Yeah, I would just say I feel that way because, again, I'm like someone who I might not seem like it because I feel like people see me as the person, like you see me like off the lanes where I'm like fun, whatever. But like behind closed doors, I really do put in all the work, whether it's like the knowledge off the lanes and understanding my balls and like knowing lane play and stuff. So like I know some of my knowledge, like when I'm bowling, like I don't really need someone behind me. I'm not someone who needs a ball rep. So I like when I can physically put it all together, I know I can make my spares. I know I can hit my mark. I understand, transition and being ahead of it. So yeah, I totally feel that way when I'm 100% that I kind of have the full package. Like, I don't think I have one thing that I'm like, that's a huge weakness. And then my mental game, like I don't really get down on myself. So yeah, I mean, like I would love to be back to 100% because I don't think I've always had like the most talent. Like I'm not throwing like the highest rev rate. I haven't always had the most speed, but what's always kept me there is having every little tick you kind of want as a bowler being like, kind of even and consistent. And like I said, being prepared and just walking in knowing that I did everything I could that week to be ready to bowl whatever I chose to bowl.
I mean, the fact that you're a coach shows how much knowledge you have and how much you have a passion for the game, right? So, I mean, that's definitely an advantage. Also, having Kegel there, like how huge is that to have a place like that to where you can hang out and learn from the best?
Yeah, I would say that I remember growing up and my parents would always say, like when you start to use all the knowledge that like no one will be able to beat you because they would always, having Kim and Pete and Dell and I've worked with almost every gold coach imaginable. I had all this knowledge. It was just, when you're young, when it's being shoved down your throat, you don't know how much of it you're going to retain or be able to like actually apply. Right. So definitely once I got into my years where I'm like, oh, I know that, I kind of had all of that, already instilled in me. It was just a matter of me using it. that when I was able to apply that, whether it was for myself or other people, I started to have a little bit more confidence, because I was like, okay, I can make decisions on my own and know that what I tell people is, correct, or like I've had that experience, or I've seen this. So it's definitely helped a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I didn't have the coaches and people behind me to support me.
Yeah, absolutely right. And, bowling has taken a hit, obviously, over the last 15, 20 years. It's not as huge as it used to be.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of fantastic women bowlers. And I don't think people realize how much talent is actually in the system. I think there's more talent in the women's system right now than there is in the men's. What are you looking forward to? Do you expect the WPBA to grow and get bigger?
I'd like to marry Michelle Feldman.
Well,
just start there.
That's fair.
What'd you say?
He said he'd like to marry Michelle.
I'd like to marry Michelle Feldman. She's the only woman in the world that always makes me fucking laugh. All day, fucking every day. And she's amazing. Keep going.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to as far as women's bowling? Do you think the WPBA will get bigger and grow?
I mean, it's already bigger. It's just going to take, obviously, those sponsors and the marketing and obviously the right strategies to get all these women like to a bigger platform. I don't think it's a matter of like the women not being there, the talent coming up, because like you touched on earlier, there's so much like information out there that these younger generations can get so much quicker and like better that, when I was in college, I mean, I would say like I was top 3 in the country, but my level of talent definitely wasn't even as high as these girls are like going into the college, just because we didn't, obviously the way we bowled, like I learned to bowl as like a stroker. We didn't have, learning to hit the ball. It was like hit your mark every time and pick up your spare. So that level of talent just comes along with, just like on the men's tour, like they just know how to strike more. They can't pick up a spare, but they can strike more, but the talent's there, and it's the same thing. It's just about finding ways to get us into the public eye more. It's not a matter of having the girls bowling out there. I know that every stop for the most part is pretty full. And even on the regional side, I know the 2 regionals I won, we had 90 girls bowling, which was amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, the talent, the girls are all there. It's just how we can apply it and, get the sport to be where it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's room on both tours to grow, and especially, deals with Fox and stuff like that helps the men's. But I mean, there's not a big enough focus on women's bowling yet, and there should be, because back in the day, I mean, it was on the same channels that the men's tour was on. So hopefully we will see a rise in women's bowling, especially at the pro level, and see them hopefully get the sponsors, like you said, and the TV contracts and all that, because there is so much talent there that people need to see it.
Yeah.
Ocho.
Sorry,
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut you
I
off.
was just going to say, just kind of like you said, you follow my social media, you can kind of see, I play a little bit around with like everything, because I realize that, what people really want to see, I mean, we can always see the person throwing the newest ball that comes out from every brand. We can always see them, doing whatever is bowling related, but you don't always get to see everyone's personality. That doesn't really get shown as much in bowling like other sports does. So I just think that's all it is, and why I've kind of stepped out of my comfort zone of being more private and like showing my, funny side. And a lot of people don't know, but I would have loved to like write for a comedian, so like showing the stuff that I feel like bowlers have that is their personalities is kind of what we're missing. And I feel like some bowlers are afraid to do that, because we have such a small community and some people can't take that backlash or, the things people might say. So that would be more helpful if more people would feel more comfortable being themselves and sharing that, because that's better to market.
It definitely isn't. And I was going to say, Ocho, we've talked about this before of, on the men's side of having like more coverage about the bowlers and learning more about them, because
the story, because there's a story to be told about each person, about what they do, about how they are, and even the story of how they got there. Of the story of did they need 2 strikes in the 10th of the last block, something like that. But more importantly, when you go back and find out, it's from humble beginnings in such and such, and you find something to root for, and you find a common ground. You're like, wow, son of a beastie, it's just like me, something like that. The guy grew up wearing a mask. You never know, but you find something like that, and so there's always a tie-in to somebody, and then And that's all. Somebody at some point threw a bowling ball, and you were like, "Oh man, that was awesome!" But then you started to like learn more about them, and it made you learn more about them. They don't do a good. I'm speculating, but I feel like I can speak truly on this, and they don't really give enough to the audience that we could, because then the average person is watching. That's how the average fan starts to get in, and. But we want to be tapped into how they do it.
Because we want to be emotionally invested in what we're watching and who we're watching and who we want to follow. It's no different than NASCAR or basketball or baseball. We want to know more about the players, more about the teams, so we can get invested in what we're watching. So, yeah, I mean, do you see?
A perfect example is Travis Kelce right now. Like, everyone's already watching Travis
Kelce. He's in every commercial. He's
or Deion Sanders. Like,
yep, Deion has had a career resurgence. Yes, absolutely right.
Like, it's just they're just following the story and the little bit that's behind it. They don't care now if the football team wins or not. They're just like, okay, are we going to see Taylor Swift in the stands, or are we going to see the Deion Sanders new commercial he's in, or whatever new car they bought? Like, it's
organic too. Like, they don't have to even write it, because these are just things that happened. Life just happens. So when it's organic, it tells the best story.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing. I just think that bowling kind of, sometimes we feel like we have to fit in this box that we don't need to be in, because I feel like, it kind of used to be more like that. Like, people just cared about the bowling, but now they care, nowadays in society, like, it is the social media, whether we like it or not. We have to go where our society is going, and we have to use those to our advantage. And I just don't think as a community, we use those to the fullest of advantage in every aspect when it comes to that.
I mean, it's almost like they eat their own. They shun what they should be promoting, if anything. I don't want to say they. That's very loose.
Yeah.
But because
I would think as a community, so they is like not, because I feel like it's everyone. Because when someone tries to step out, then someone like, "Oh my God, you can't do that. Like, that's not allowed."
Right. No, you can't say that. Right, exactly. Yeah. That was why it's very loose that I said that. But yes, you're absolutely loose.
Yeah, every time I do something that people are like, "Oh, but you're a bowler. Why are you doing that?" I'm like, I'm also a person. I have things and hobbies that I do outside of bowling. And, it's like any athlete. Like, they all have hobbies and stuff they do outside of their sport. It's just they cover it more. And, you get to see their personalities. And they don't get shunned for being themselves.
Right. It's not shocking to them, but it's shocking when you mean you don't only just throw a bowling ball 24/7? You don't sit at home and just replicate throws as you're trying to make a sandwich at freaking 2 PM?
Yeah.
I do.
Can you imagine Pete Weber having Facebook or YouTube like back in the 80s? Like, can you imagine what he would do or say? Like,
oh my God. But it's like, even nowadays in the real world.
That's terrible.
Yeah, anytime I've ever been somewhere and I'm like, yeah, I bowl, someone always is like, oh my God, do you know that guy that says that saying? And it's like, they don't even know him, but they know that he's the bad guy of bowling. And it's like, they don't think anything.
That kind of follows up to what you were saying about, like, any coverage is good coverage. Everybody that doesn't bowl knows Pete Weber, right?
Yeah. And like, we all know Pete's not a bad guy, but we all know who he was on the lanes. Like, and that, that's what sports needs. Like, at the end of the day, we are a sport, and everyone shouldn't be the same. That's just not how it should be. And I just think sometimes bowling tries to fit in that box of just be professional. And it's like, that's great, but you don't want to see everyone throw a strike and then turn around.
We're not football. We're like stuck somewhere.
It's what she was saying was she said they're packed in a box, and that's really what it is, and they don't know how to get out, because again, it's to try to show personality, you get shunned and be like, well, that's not appropriate.
It goes back to what you said earlier. Like, are we an individual sport?
Right. Right.
Like, we're going up there. Obviously, like, let's pretend you have my team. You have Morehead State behind you. If Morehead State needs me to throw a strike, I'm going to fucking dig a little bit deeper than I would if I'm just bowling for myself. Honest to God. Like,
it makes it because you're carrying something.
I'm worried more about them and their hearts than I am myself, right? So at that moment that I'm on the approach, I got that 17 feet to the foul line, like, my brain is only worried about them, so I'm going to execute no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that mentality but it's still individual.
Right.
Just like golf. Like you may have the Ryder Cup team behind you. You may have your country behind you. You may have, doesn't matter. Your college team, your high school team.
It's still depending on you doing that particular shot, exactly how you need to execute it.
Exactly.
But they got to bottle it and they got to freaking market it. That's it. That's all. And we don't have the answer.
I mean, a perfect example.
Do you have an answer?
Sorry?
Go ahead, Elise. Go ahead.
Do you have
No, I was just going to say a perfect example would be like, we obviously know Belmo. Like, he's changed the game. He's done things that who knows if anyone will ever be able to beat what he's done. If you go out on the street and you put Kyle Troop and you put Belmo, who are people going to notice? They're not going to recognize Belmo, even though he's amazing and he's changed the sport. They're going to recognize Kyle. And I've seen it happen firsthand where like we've been in the middle of nowhere hanging out with Kyle and it's like you can't take 2 steps, like in just not even a bowling center. And they're like, oh my God, you're that guy. Like I just don't think that would happen with Belmo because he's really good, but they're not going to remember all the strikes he threw. They're going to remember all the, like the bottle bitch thing. Like that was way more. And it was something that was just like so off the wall that they remember that and not who won that match,
True. That's true. 100%. No, you're right.
100%.
And that's why we have Kyle during the opening of our show, because he's just so funny. Yeah. He's so colorful. And he is great for television. He's a natural, charismatic performer and
knows how to exactly
it's a market.
What Elise said.
It's a market.
Right.
It's because you said your sport, but it's got to be entertaining too. Because any sport that isn't entertaining is going to draw 0 ratings.
Like if I say the Lion King, the first thought is Simba, right? Nothing else, right? Like he has that factor. If I say Aladdin, who's his girl? Jasmine, right? Like it's the instant thing that comes to your brain.
I didn't know that, so that's on you.
When they associate bowling,
you will, Ocho.
Like Elise said, it doesn't matter how good Belmo is. Kyle's got the it factor, and he's friendly to the crowd. He's a little bit different, but he's different in the right way. Like it works, right? Is that what you're kind of getting at? It was like that's how we build the sport.
Yeah, and like honestly, like for me, like I don't particularly like when people like fry out and like kick stuff and stuff, but like if they do it in like a funny way, like I've seen Dick Allen do it, or like Simo. Like Simo does fry out, but if you like listen to him, he's like sarcastic in a way where I'm like, okay, this is actually hilarious and entertaining, and he's not being disrespectful. He's obviously an athlete and that's their job. Like they're going to fry out. Like it's like going to your job, doing your job, and then your boss is like, we're not going to pay you today. Like how would you feel? And I think people forget that, like, let them fry out. Like that's their way. And if they do it in a respectful way, and if they're mad at themselves, like that is funny and that's entertaining and that's their personality. So like, I think Simo's another one of those that he's kind of made that like bad boy, because he makes those little comments on Facebook and stuff that everyone's like, oh my God, did you see what Simo posted? That's the stuff that we need more of and people need to not be afraid to do.
Well, plus it also shows their personality too. You get to learn a little bit about them instead of, again, being robotic, being bland, being just stoic and locked in your box.
Being really real, dude.
Being yourself.
Just being normal.
Yeah. Taking away your normalcy is the worst thing you can do, basically.
Dude, when somebody pile drives a guy in football, 25,000 people scream, fuck yeah, let's go. Like, they go fucking nuts. Bowling, everybody's just got a little bit closer eye, Like, everybody's a little bit more into everybody else's business. And in an industry where, like, we work our fucking asses off for not the shit we deserve.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
When you toss all that shit together, at least for me, it's dude.
And bowling's also on a spot because, again, all the pros are technically working together in a way, but trying to beat each other. So it's a little bit of a stranger dynamic. Again, that is like golf, but like, you meet friends out there and then you're like, okay, well, this is weird. I'm bowling my roommate of the last 10 years for a title. Like, the stories can really be there. To exploit them, why not? But also at least show the emotional attachment that goes into it. Do you want, of course you want to beat everybody. But it's like, I remember when this person helped me out 5 years ago for something that I need. And then here you are.
100%.
Here you are bowling against them and doing everything you can to win. And I'm telling the stories are there. We don't know how to get them out. That's all.
Yeah. And every person individually also needs to learn how to do that. So that's my biggest thing is when like the bowling community as a whole, like everyone from top to bottom complains about bowling. And I'm like, we are the people in bowling. Like, I don't know why we're complaining about it. We're the only ones that can fix it. So it's like, why do we, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over. And it's like expecting a different result. So we have to change it as a community to make it different, so it's like, it starts from everyone.
I go on the bowling forums on Facebook, and some of the threads I read are just ridiculous. Like, people will literally argue about anything. It's not just bowling. I mean, it's anything in life. It's food, it's football, it's politics, whatever. But, like, bowling, and Johnny talked about this before, like, there's a lot of people that just bitch about bowling just to bitch about it and not have an idea of how to fix it. They just want to go and complain about something. And it's frustrating because we need to grow the sport because it's not as popular as it used to be. And, you can say what you want about the USBC or Bolero or anybody else. I mean, we could talk about the shortcomings of them all day, especially promoting the sport. But, like you said, we are the community. And I love bowling. I've been bowling since I was 6 years old. I've been bowling for almost like 40 years. Bowlers are cool. Bowling fans are cool. It's an amazing community. Like, there's nobody cooler than bowlers in any sport. I don't care if it's baseball, football, soccer, whatever. Bowlers are the coolest.
Everyone does it.
That too.
Everyone does it, and bowlers are down to earth for the most part.
Right.
Even people
honestly, even the assholes.
Yeah.
Even the assholes are down to earth.
Yeah.
Elise probably knows a lot of asshole bowlers.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm married to one.
We're not going to put you on the spot. Don't worry.
Don't name any names.
No.
I'll take care of that on a later show or previous.
At least what time zone are you in right now?
By the way, where are you on your cruise ship?
I'm in
what ocean are you in?
Who comes to the Straight Up 5 podcast?
Because I'm here to, promote bowling.
See, she loves bowling.
You have made our lives and our viewers' lives tonight. Who goes out of their fucking way on a goddamn cruise ship?
Elise does.
To join Straight Up 5.
So are you in the same time zone as the... You are. Where are you cruising to?
I'm actually on my way back. I'll be back home tomorrow. I'm in the middle of the Gulf right now.
Oh, so you're going back to like Cape Canaveral or whatever it is they usually dump you off at? Or...
Yeah, I'm going back to Tampa.
Tampa, right. Okay, all right.
Isn't Cape Canaveral?
I don't know where the hell it is. I went on one cruise week.
Cape Canaveral is actually where I used to live.
That's where they do rockets too.
That's where I live. That's actually where I grew up. So I grew up watching all the Rockets.
So why don't you move to the north and you would have been bowling a lot sooner because it's cold as shit up in the north.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'm not here to predict your life, but it was one way to solve the outdoor problem.
Yeah. My family didn't want to leave Florida, so I got stuck with bowling.
And no golf though, because it was outdoors, or you just
sadly my dad never took me golfing until I was maybe 15 or 16.
That's poor parenting.
Yeah,
so we should we have a lawsuit.
Yeah, that was the sad part. Was I was out hitting, it was on a Father's Day. I actually took him, and I was like, oh, because my dad's good at every sport. So my dad's the guy who's never lost at anything. So I was like, all right, let's go take you golfing for Father's Day. And it was me and my brother and him. And I was hitting golf balls, and I guess the instructor was like, oh, does she play for college? And my dad, I was naturally good at it. And I was like, I'm kind of like that with a lot of sports. So I was like, Dad, what are you doing? Why didn't you make me, because I played tennis too and I was good at it. I was like, why didn't you make me stay with tennis or golf? I appreciate that you guys let me do what I love, as long as I worked hard, but are you dumb? I've always joked with Nate, if we ever have a kid, I only want a kid if we can have a D1 athlete, so they will not be touching a bowling ball.
All right. Well, yeah, right.
I love bowling, but they should have more money until bowling gets it all figured out.
And then again, when they're 20, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they have dotted the I's and crossed the lowercase J's, as we say.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right, wait.
Hopefully one day bowling will get that kind of money again. Because, back in the day, even when, Johnny's dad bowled, he was winning 20, 30,000, 40,000 here and there. Unless he, obviously when he threw a 300, he got more money. But, even with inflation today, like the payouts still aren't big enough, and that's it's on each tour, and it's unfortunate.
It's like obviously the top is okay because I mean it's all relative to like how you want to live your life.
Right.
We don't all need to be millionaires where we can go on a yacht every weekend. So like people always like ask me like, oh, when you want to win the lottery, like how would your life change? And I'm like, I wouldn't. I would still be bowling because it's like, well, obviously Nate too. Like we would just want to bowl, but now it makes it a little bit easier because we don't have to worry about cashing every single time or throwing a $2,000 in brackets and hoping you get it all back. Like you have it covered, but I wouldn't change anything. So it's just really the payouts going down is like just that. So it's a livable wage that if you are cashing, you're making enough money that you aren't just breaking even from the last 3 that you missed a check. I don't think the top ones are so bad. It's just that, once you get to the middle and the bottom checks, like you bowled all those games and you're like breaking even. That's the problem we have.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. Well, Elise, we appreciate you having on here. Is there anything you want to plug? We actually want to plug your YouTube channel, Nate and Elise. Subscribe to them on YouTube. Put out your socials. Anything else you want to promote before we go?
Everything is Elise Bolton. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Nate and Elise. That's I call the version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians bowling style because I for anyone that's watched it, it's like I can't even make up some of the stuff that happens to me and Nate, and it's not scripted, and I just think it's funny, and that's why we started it. Because I'm like I couldn't even tell this story to someone without them, not believing me. So definitely check that out. We just dropped a video before I got on here, so. Yeah.
You're promoting while you're on the cruise. You're on the podcast. You're driving. Jesus, you're doing your YouTube. My God. Are you having any fun on the cruise, I hope?
This whole cruise, actually, we've been trying to figure out how I can get home to actually work with a coach and fix my fit before the regional showdown that I'm bowling in December. So, yeah, pretty much. It's always work with us.
Kind of gross.
Yeah.
Well, you got one more night. At least go have your own story tonight.
I'm going to a game show later. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to a game show.
Oh, that's
so don't
cool.
worry, I'll have some fun.
Well, we can't thank you enough.
Money in the casino, so there's a plus.
Nice.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
You're living your best life right now, which is pretty awesome.
And I got to come and talk about bowling, so
that's
couldn't
true.
be much better.
And you get to hang out with Nate every day. Like, how cool is your life?
Yeah, 24/7. We never argue.
Hold on. No, hold on.
Don't jump on that, Rob.
No.
Let her run with it.
Pull back the curtain a little bit. No,
they're on a cruise. Don't.
Oh no, you can ask me anything you want.
He said we never argue, and Rob's like, "Oh, wait a second. That doesn't."
I mean, everybody argues.
Right.
Oh no, like I was being facetious. Like it is funny. Okay. Me and Nate choose like the petty things. It's normally bowling. Like it's like never the real things that people argue about. It's always like the littlest stuff that it's me and Nate. Like it's just we were meant to be. That's all I can say. Like we were put on this earth to be together.
That's cool. See, that's what people want to know that watch Straight Up 5. We ask the hard-hitting questions like that. So, we'd like to have you on again, Elise, and have Nate on next time too. When you guys have time. Nobody has ever come on our show on a cruise, so you were the first person to ever do that in the history of this show. 92 episodes in, so
and it speaks volume. Like honest to God, no bullshit. Like I know we always fuck around, but that's pretty badass that you showed up tonight, Elise. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you for
getting her on the show. Elise, that's fucking badass, girl.
Yeah,
Wishing
I
nothing but
appreciate
the
it.
best for you, and hell yeah, that's good shit, girl. That's good shit.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's
all right, Elise. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk soon.
Yep. Take care. Thank you for having me.
No problem. See you, Elise.
Bye.
On a goddamn cruise.
She's on a cruise.
On a goddamn cruise. Rob, nice work. Great guest tonight.
Thanks, buddy.
Great guest.
Rob, what's my Twitter?
I don't know. I have no idea. You're never on it. I don't even know if you follow me anymore.
No.
Yeah, Johnny, I try my best.
You love the lamp, or you're just saying that because you saw it? I love lamp. All right. Sorry, Rob.
I always try to get the best for the show, Johnny. You know that. So we're trying to get John Mazza on the show. I think he's around your dad's age, so he's not.
Yeah, if he can't get here, I'll at least talk about his entire career, starting with the Florida Open win in 1990.
Yeah.
The conversion of the 710 in Tucson. The Triton Heat, running it in Bay City, Michigan. John Mazza, with all due respect, I love you, dude. And I know that Leslie is definitely going to hear this at some point. Please come on the show, dude. I would love to pick your brain like Captain Fidget. Show up. Will you please?
We're going to...
I'll pull up my pants. I'll pull up my pants. Every single shot for you, Mr. Mazza. Please.
We're going to try. He's not the best with technology, so I'm working on it. I gave him my phone number, so hopefully we'll get him on next week because he is interested in coming on. He's just hard to get a hold of sometimes.
I'll bust his chops. I'll bust his chops.
Yeah, I know you will.
I believe his wife, Leslie, and I are friends on Facebook. I'll find him.
Okay, cool. We'll work on that. And the week after, we're going to have Stephanie Sheridan, our best friend, on the show as well. She's been dying to come on, so she'll be on in a couple weeks. And we're getting close to 100, Johnny. And I asked you a couple of months ago, I gave you a list of names to see if you could try to get some. Are you working on our 100th guest yet? Any ideas?
Yeah, I've got some ideas of, because you got to remember, man, 100's obviously like the number, right? Like it's our 100th episode. I've got 3 or 4 in my brain who should be here, and they're all willing.
Okay.
So, but I think leading right now, it's a tie. It's between Kelly Kulick and Parker Bone.
That's fair. I like
because. I mean, those are 2 legends of the sport, let's be honest.
Of course.
Kelly was right in the middle of, right after Carolyn and, right before this new wave. She is the Parker of her generation. The same way Parker is the Parker of the last 3 generations, you know?
That's true.
So it's going to be, I would like to pick the brains of either Kelly or Parker for our 100th episode.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. You can't go wrong.
Say this, for everybody watching, I'm actually not drunk tonight, but the camera is up here, right? So if I see you up here, I'm like, hi. Meanwhile, the computer's down here, so I'm not fucked up, but I can't look at nothing. So I'd rather look at you down here. just so you know.
Johnny, anything you want to mention before we wrap it up?
Just another shout out to Elise. You know what? The character she displayed today was, dude, I don't know if that means anything to anybody else, but somebody that's on a goddamn cruise, on a cruise ship and goes out of their way to spend an hour with us to get 500 views or whatever the fuck it is that we get. Dude, that's sexy. And she brought a lot of real shit to the table today.
Yep.
And I just appreciate real people, and Elise is definitely one of them. So, Elise, special shout out again to you for being so real. And Rob, super shout out to you for always going above and beyond to make this show what exactly it is. So, thank you, my friend.
I appreciate it, dude. No, I appreciate it.
That's all I got.
She's super smart. She's really funny. She's super talented. I mean, a lot of people don't know the real her. I think she showed a lot of that tonight about how intelligent she is, and not just a female, a piece of meat on Instagram or shit like that. So,
and you know what? Let her do that. But now at least Vince Neil said it best, man. The body always goes away. The brain is what real people are after. It doesn't matter what your preference is, right? It's always the brain. If the brain is thinking the right shit, everything's okay. The rest just goes away. But as long as and she's got that, she's fucking smart upstairs, dude. It's awesome.
I can't say anything else better than that, Johnny. So for Johnny and Ocho, who's somewhere there in the room, I'm Rad Rob. We'll see you next week.
Mrs. Ocho.
Good night, Mrs. Ocho. I don't know if she can hear me. She's probably not paying attention.
She hears you. But she's just not paying attention.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week, episode 93, hopefully with John Mazza. If not, we'll be here anyway. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. You can follow the show on Twitter at Straight Up 5 Pod. Follow Johnny Jr. at JPJR07. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at The Dr Ocho. Got a question for Johnny? Send your questions to straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.